Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a story you might not know, the original chip war. It's a brutal rivalry from the 1980s that honestly completely reshaped the tech industry as we know it. So, when you think of computer chips, you probably think of Intel, right? The undisputed champ. But what if I told you that for a while back in the 80s, they got completely knocked off the throne? And here's the proof. Check this out. By 1985, it was Japan's NEC Corporation that had surged past Intel to become the #1 chipmaker on the entire planet. And you can see, it wasn't just them. Japanese companies were absolutely dominating that top 10 list. So how on earth did this happen? How did the company that literally invented the microprocessor almost go under? And, what can this decades-old corporate slugfest actually teach us about the tech rivalries that are happening right now? The whole story kicks off with two totally different visions for the future. Okay, let's set the stage. This was a true clash of titans, and each one had a radically different strategy for winning the future of technology. In one corner, you had Intel, the Silicon Valley pioneer. They were betting the entire farm on these complex, high-profit microprocessors, the brains of the computer. But in the other corner was NEC, a Japanese giant that was doubling down on high-volume memory chips, or DRAM, the workhorse of electronics. They were playing two completely different games. And in the early 80s, Japan's high-volume strategy started to just overwhelm the American companies. The results were dramatic to say the least. Get this, by 1987, Japan held an astonishing 80% of the entire global market for DRAM memory chips. 80%. They were effectively dominating the single highest volume product in the industry. So how did they do it? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was this powerful combination, this perfect storm of factors. They had superior manufacturing, massive government support, and this corporate structure called the kairetsu, which meant these huge conglomerates could survive brutal price wars way better than a standalone American company like Intel could. For Intel, Japan's incredible success created a code red existential crisis, and it forced them to make one of the most famous and, frankly, riskiest strategic pivots in corporate history. To put a number on the pain, this mix of a market downturn and the fierce Japanese competition was just devastating. In 1986 alone, Intel lost over $100 million. Its core memory business was just hemorrhaging cash. And this all led to this now legendary conversation between CEO Andy Grove and Chairman Gordon Moore. It was this incredible moment of clarity. They realized that if they were outsiders looking in, the choice, as brutal as it was, would be totally obvious. Let's be clear, this wasn't some minor adjustment. This was a gut-wrenching, radical reinvention. They decided to completely abandon the memory business, the very product that founded the company, and bet everything they had on the still kind of niche microprocessor market, right as the PC revolution was about to explode. But the fight wasn't just for market share. Oh no, the battle was about to spill over from the marketplace into the courtroom, and this was a fight over the very DNA of the technology itself. So, while Intel was making its big pivot, NEC was out there selling its own clone microprocessors. Intel sued them, claiming that NEC had illegally copied their internal microcode. This kicked off a landmark legal battle over the secret software that's hidden deep inside the hardware. And this wasn't some quick legal spat. This was a multi-year saga that just dragged through the courts, creating this massive cloud of uncertainty for the entire tech industry. In the end, the verdict was, well, it was complicated. A split decision, really. Intel won a huge victory on principle. The court established that, yes, microcode could be protected by copyright law. However, the court also found that NEC had not illegally copied the code, so they were cleared to keep selling their chips, a win and a loss for both sides. So, after all that drama, in the market, in the courtroom, how did the dust finally settle? What did the world look like after this war? Well, the long-term results were just incredibly stark. Intel's absolutely wild bet paid off spectacularly. They rode that PC wave and became the titan we know today. Meanwhile, NEC's memory-focused strategy, the one that looked so dominant, it turned out to be a much, much tougher and way less profitable business in the long run. So, what's the big takeaway here? This story of corporate strategy, national industrial policy, and a make-or-break pivot, it's not just ancient history. It's a blueprint. It's a playbook for understanding the exact same kind of high-stakes rivalries that are still defining our technological world right now.